Chapter 29. Expressions of Love for Krishna. Part 2. Guilt. When a person blames himself for committing an inappropriate action, his feeling is called guilt. One day, Srimati Radharani was churning curd for Krishna. At that time, the jeweled bangles on her hands were circling around, and she was also chanting the holy name of Krishna. All of a sudden she thought, quote, I am chanting the holy name of Krishna, and my superiors, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, may hear me. End quote. By this thought, Radharani became over-anxious. This is an instance of feeling guilty because of devotion to Krishna. One day, the beautiful-eyed Srimati Radharani entered into the forest to collect some flowers to prepare a garland for Krishna. While collecting the flowers, she became afraid that someone might see her, and she felt some fatigue and weakness. This is an instance of guilty feelings caused by labor for Krishna. There is a statement in Rasa Sudhakar that after passing the night with Krishna, Radharani became so weak that she was unable to get up from bed. When Krishna took her hand to help her, Radharani felt guilty about having passed the night with him. Fatigue. Fatigue is felt after walking a long distance, after dancing, and after sex activity. In this kind of fatigue there is dizziness, perspiration, inactivity of the limbs, yawning, and very heavy breathing. One day, Yasoda was chasing Krishna in the yard after he had offended her. After a while, Yasoda became very fatigued, and therefore she was perspiring, and her bunch hair became loosened. This is an instance of becoming fatigued because of working too much. Sometimes, all of the cowherd friends of Krishna, along with Balaram, danced together in some ceremony. At these times, the garlands on their necks would move, and they would begin to perspire. Their whole bodies became wet from their ecstatic dancing. This is an instance of fatigue caused by dancing. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 33rd chapter, 20th verse, it is said that after enjoying love affairs with Krishna by dancing, embracing, and kissing, the gopis would sometimes become very tired, and Krishna, out of his causeless mercy and compassion, would smear their faces with his lotus hands. This is an example of fatigue caused by laboring in the rasa dance. Intoxication. When one becomes arrogant with false prestige due to drinking intoxicants or being too lustful, the voice becomes faulty, the eyes become swollen, and there are symptoms of redness on the body. There is a statement in the Lalita Madhava that Lord Baladev, intoxicated from drinking excessive quantities of honey, once began to address the ants. Quote, O you king of the ants, why are you hiding yourselves in these holes? End quote. At the same time, he also addressed the king of heaven. Quote, O King Indra, you plaything of Sachi, why are you laughing? I am now prepared to smash the whole universe, and I know that Krishna will not be angry with me. End quote. There's a footnote here which reads, Baladev, or Balaram, is the older brother of Krishna, an expansion of the Godhead himself, and therefore to be considered an incarnation of God, as is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. End footnote. Then he addressed Krishna. Quote, My dear Krishna, tell me immediately why the whole world is trembling, and why the moon has become elongated. And, O you members of the Yadu dynasty, why are you laughing at me? Please give me back my liquors made of honey from the kadamba flower. End quote. Srila Rupa Goswami prays that Lord Balaram will be pleased with all of us while he is thus talking just like an intoxicated person. In this state of intoxication, Balaram felt tired and lay down for rest. Generally, those who are exalted personalities lie down when they feel intoxicated, whereas those who are mediocre laugh and sing during intoxication, and those who are lowly use vulgar language and sometimes cry. Such intoxication is manifested according to different ages and mentalities. Srila Rupa Goswami does not describe further in this direction because there is no necessity for such a discussion. There is another description of the symptoms of intoxication in the person of Sri Radharani after she saw Krishna. Sometimes she was walking hither and thither, sometimes she was laughing, sometimes she was covering her face, sometimes she was talking without any meaning, and sometimes she was praying to her associate gopis. Seeing these symptoms in Radharani, the gopis began to talk among themselves, quote, "Just see how Radharani has become intoxicated simply by seeing Krishna before her." End quote. This is an instance of ecstatic love in intoxication. Pride. Expressions of ecstatic love and pride may be the result of excessive wealth, exquisite beauty, first-class residence, or the attainment of one's ideal goal. One is also considered to be proud when he does not care about the neglect of others. Bilvamangala Thakur said, quote, "My dear Krishna, you are leaving me, forcibly getting out of my clutches. But I shall be impressed by your strength only when you can go forcibly from the core of my heart." End quote. This is an instance of feeling pride in ecstatic love for Krishna. Once during the rasa dance, when Radharani left the arena and Krishna went to seek her out, one of the dear friends of Radharani began to address Krishna thusly, quote, "My dear Krishna, you have been very much obliging in serving the form of our Sri Radharani, and now you have left all the other gopis to search for her. Please allow me to inquire how you want her to treat you." End quote. This is an instance of feeling pride on account of exquisite beauty. Sometimes Radharani felt pride within herself and said, quote, "Although the cowherd boys prepare nice flower garlands for Krishna, when I present my garland to him, he becomes struck with wonder and immediately accepts it and puts it on his heart." End quote. Similarly, in the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 27th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, quote, "My dear Madhusudan, persons who are pure devotees of your lordship actually feel your ecstatic friendship, and as such they are never vanquished by enemies. They know they are always protected by you, and so they can matter-of-factly pass over the heads of their enemies without any care." End quote. In other words, one who has taken complete shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord is always proud of being able to conquer all enemies. One weaver at Mathura addressed Krishna in this way, quote, "My dear King of Vrindavan, I have become so proud of your causeless mercy upon me that I do not even count upon the mercy of the Lord of Vaikuntha, which is sought after by many great sages in deep meditation." End quote. In other words, although the yogis and great sages sit in meditation upon Lord Vishnu, who is residing in Vaikuntha, a devotee of Krishna is so proud that he does not consider such meditation to be very valuable. This feeling of pride is due to one's having achieved the highest goal of life. Krishna. Doubt. After Lord Brahma had stolen all the calves, cows, and cowherd boys from Krishna, he was trying to go away. But all of a sudden he became doubtful about his stealing affairs and began to watch on all sides with his 8 eyes. Lord Brahma has 4 heads, and therefore he has 8 eyes. This is an instance of ecstatic love and doubtfulness caused by stealing. Similarly, just to please Krishna, Akrura stole the Shamantakamani, a stone which can produce unlimited quantities of gold. But later on he repented his stealing. This is another instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in doubt caused by stealing. The king of heaven, Indra, was advised to surrender himself at the lotus feet of Krishna when he was causing torrents of rain to fall on the land of Braj. At that time, Indra's face became very darkened out of doubtfulness. Apprehension. When a person becomes disturbed in his heart by seeing lightning in the sky, by seeing a ferocious animal, or by hearing a tumultuous sound, his state of mind is called apprehensive. In such a state of apprehension, one tries to take shelter of something which provides safety. There may be standing of the hairs on the body, trembling of the body, and sometimes the committing of mistakes, and sometimes the body may become stunned. In the Padyavali, there is the following statement, quote, "My dear friend, Krishna's residence in the demonic circle at Mathura, under the supremacy of the king of the demons, Kamsa, is causing me much worry." End quote. This is one instance of apprehending some danger to Krishna in ecstatic love for him. When Vrishashura appeared in Vrindavan as a bull, all of the gopis became greatly affected with fear. Being perturbed in that way, they began to embrace the tamala trees. This is an instance of fearfulness caused by a ferocious animal and of the search for shelter while remembering Krishna in ecstatic love. Upon hearing the jackals crying in the forest of Vrindavan, Mother Yasoda sometimes became very careful about keeping Krishna under her vigilance, fearing that Krishna might be attacked by them. This is an instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in fearfulness caused by a tumultuous sound. This kind of fearfulness is a little different from being actually afraid. When one is afraid of something, he can still think of past and future, but when there is this kind of ecstatic apprehension, there is no scope for such thinking.